Hello, you're tuned into Coast to Coast Real Estate with Jaqueline Steib. This podcast will take us all across the globe as we learn the ins and outs of real estate from the industry's top advisors. Here we are now with Jaqueline Steib.
Welcome to Coast Real Estate. I'm your host, Jaqueline Steib with Vista Sothebys International Realty, broadcasting simultaneously from Manhattan Beach, California, and Scottsdale, Arizona. In today's episode, you will get to know Suzanne Gammage with Russ, Lyon, Sothebys International Realty. Without further ado, allow me to introduce you to Suzanne, our guest speaker for today's episode. Welcome, Suzanne, for being here. Thank you for being here and sharing a little bit of your time with me and my listeners.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk to you and your listeners.
I am very honored to have you here today. Can you tell me and our listeners a little bit about you? Who are you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm someone who loves life, and I happen to be a realtor. I live in Phoenix, Scottsdale, with my husband, 2 Goldens, and I tell everybody I live in a doghouse because the Goldens rule. Who I am today, I think, was shaped by where I lived in my life. I grew up overseas and had pretty much a global upbringing. I lived in several different countries. I learned to speak Spanish before I learned how to speak English. And in fact, when we returned to the United States, I couldn't speak any English. And so I got put back in the first grade. We always had a home in Houston, Texas. We would go away for a few years, come back. My dad was an engineer in the oil business. So I lived in South America, England, traveled through Europe, and lived in the Middle East, Bahrain. My parents wanted me to go to college in Spain or Switzerland, but I had to get back to the States to see my friends. Dummy me. If I went back to the States, my parents said that they'd pay for 2 years of college, but I'd have to finance my other 2 years. So I found myself selling for a developer, sold condominiums for a developer, and that pretty much started my real estate career. I finished up at the University of Houston with a major in real estate, and then later went on to get my master's in real estate development. But I graduated from the U of H and met one of my dad's friends. We were out celebrating. I met one of my dad's friends, and he goes, "Oh, you just graduated?" I said, "Yes." He goes, "What was your degree in?" I said, "Business with a major in real estate." He said, "Interesting." He goes, "I'm looking for someone and I'd like to offer you a job." So I actually went immediately and called my dad. I said, "Daddy, who is this guy? He says he knows you." He goes, "Oh, that's Eddie. He is a great guy. He's a good friend. And anything he's ever touched has turned to gold. So if he's offering you a job, I would take it." I ended up selling chemicals with him, working for him and selling specialty chemicals in the oil business. And when the oil business kind of crashed, I went back to my first love, which was real estate, and ended up opening my own brokerage in Texas. And it was a lot of fun. I met my husband and we ended up moving to St. Louis. And in St. Louis, I didn't open a brokerage or sell real estate. I did something similar. I ended up selling retirement communities. I did such a good job, they offered me another job in Las Vegas on a new development that they had. And about a year later, they asked me if I'd move to Phoenix.
So how do you ended up in your current city?
When I worked for the retirement community, they moved me to Las Vegas first. And we had never been to Las Vegas, and they flew us in one night to take a look. And we just were starstruck with all the lights. And I can never forget seeing the Motel 6 sign, which was bigger than the motel itself. And they had us stay in one of the pyramid hotels, and it was great. So I went there and helped them with a new development there. And then a year later, they asked me if I would move to Phoenix to help them with an established development. And so we did. And I was selling retirement communities. And I decided that I was ready to get back into real estate after a couple of years. So I went to work for Keller Williams. and then realized I needed to open my own company. And so I ran a great company for about a small boutique company that specialized in some luxury homes in Tempe, Phoenix, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley area. And when my partner retired, I decided that I just wanted to focus on selling. And I had always had interactions over the years with a lot of agents, and it seemed like the Sothebys agents were the kind of people I wanted to work with. They were very professional, but really nice and approachable. And all my transactions always seemed to be smooth when I was working with a Sothebys agent. And they had such a global network. I thought, well, gosh, I grew up overseas. I've got all these contacts, and I should be associated with a company like that.
What are the things that you love the most about Scottsdale, Arizona?
I absolutely love the quality of life and the winters in Arizona. It's really an indoor-outdoor community. In fact, our home has 21 doors that leads to the outside, and about 8 months out of the year, they're all open.
21 doors?
Yes.
What size is your home?
It's under 3,000 square feet. It's just every room has doors outside leading to the outside.
It has that indoor-outdoor setup from the beginning.
Right. And we really love it here. There's nothing like it anywhere. And I've lived all over the world. In fact, the winters are so great here. We have about 500 people flock to Arizona from different cities and different countries. And we used to call them snowbirds, but to be more politically correct, we started calling them winter visitors.
Yeah, gotta stop insulting the birds.
Yeah, after being in the snow and rain and cold, they come here and just experience a very happy city. You'll see everyone out and about, walking the streets, going to restaurants, hanging out in bars. And there's so much to do, like hiking, boating, skiing during our winter. So the only bummer, I guess, is that, the ocean's about 3.5 hours away. San Diego's. But other than that, we have everything you could think of.
As a child who travels so much all over the world, what is your favorite childhood memory and where does that take you?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I was very fortunate to have a lot of great memories. I would say my senior trip, I went to high school and international school in Bahrain. And our senior trip was camping along the Caspian. And I would say that's the most memorable one. We went from Astara to Sari to Gorgan. We got to eat caviar along the river, and it was very memorable.
It sounds wonderful for a teenager to experience something like that.
It was a lot of fun. Camping along the Caspian Sea is not something everybody gets to do.
It sounds like you always knew that you wanted to be in real estate, but who was the first person who believed in you once you decided that you were going to start a career in it?
I would have to say my dad. He was an engineer, but when we were back in the States, he always worked 2 jobs. He loved people and he loved selling insurance, and I used to go with him from time to time. And he loved talking to people, and I really enjoyed seeing him solve problems for these people. And he always told me, treat your customers like a loved family member and you'll always be successful. And I'm happy that's exactly what I did. It was the best advice anyone could ever give me. And I do. I treat all my clients like they're a cherished family member, and I help them in any and every way I can possibly.
That's part of our fabulous job description, that we get to help them, and then we tend to help them because we love them. We don't help people. I mean, at least it's not the human nature to help those that we don't love.
Right.
Tell me, how did you join the Sothebys family?
Well, after owning my own brokerage, I decided that my partner retired. We had a great business, and he retired, and we sold the book of our business in an area that I didn't go to as often as he did, because I moved further up near Camelback Mountain. And I decided that I just wanted to focus on selling and not train agents. And that's when I decided to join Sothebys. They had so much to offer, and it's the best decision I ever made because they enabled me to provide my clients with so much more than I was ever able to do it on my own. They have the best marketing. They just have everything that any agent would ever want to help their clients with.
Take me back to a time where you were showing a property and there was this particular smell that made you guys just run away. What was the smell that killed the deal?
Oh my gosh, having done this for years, there's a couple of times, but the worst one I think was when we walked in, opened the house. My clients were really excited about it. It was beautiful. It was in a nice area, had a big yard. Well, I opened the front door and we just got hit with this smell of stale tobacco. It was a smoker, and it was just, they couldn't even go inside. They said, no, this is not it. And so we backed out.
Such a beautiful house. It seemed promising. And then there you have that smell.
Right. It's unbelievable.
Now take me to the opposite. What's your favorite smell in a home?
Oh my gosh. It depends on the season. Spring and summer, there's nothing better than cut flowers, fresh cut flowers. And I would say in the fall and winter, love the smell of cinnamon or fresh baked cookies, especially in a home that you're viewing it. It just makes you feel more at home.
How do you get a house ready for the market?
Oh gosh. Really, what you do is you get the seller ready first. What do you do when you sell a car? You clean it and make it shiny and new as possible with little clutter. And that's what I tell my clients. I'll walk through the home with my client and say, oh gosh, if I see a lamp that just doesn't go, or, is like a leg with a shade on it, it's time for that to go. Declutter, you've got to take down personal photos. The buyer has to imagine themselves there. And so you don't want it cluttered with the seller's personal things.
I like the idea of getting the seller ready, not so much the house, because sometimes they're not ready to get rid of that ugly carpet.
Right. Yeah. People want to see themselves in the home and not see other people's stuff.
What was the transaction that changed your life?
Oh, gosh, that's an easy one. My husband played golf with a group of guys, and one of them happened to be a guy from Canada who, for fun, would build spec homes here in Phoenix because he came down every winter, and it kept his wife busy. Well, he built this beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright inspired home at the Arizona Biltmore golf course. And I went, wow, it was going to be 3.7 million. And most of my transactions were a lot lower at that time. And I said, I would love to sell this house. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, I've got a condo I haven't been able to sell. It's $100,000. And if you sell that, I will give you the other listing. I went, oh boy. So I got all excited. I did put all my paper together. I was putting a sign out front, and someone stopped and asked me if the condo was for sale. They came in, I showed it to them, and they paid full price. And I called them later that day and I said, I have an offer for your condo. He goes, no way. I said, yes, I do. And so I ended up with that $3.7 million listing, and it kind of catapulted me into the luxury market. And, everybody says, oh, you just do luxury homes. I said, no, I do real estate. I sold my trainer a $32,000 condo during the crash. And I just enjoy seeing people finding the home of their dreams, whether it's 32,000 or, 6 million. It's fun. And I just love seeing people finding what they love.
Everybody has a different buying power. And I think that's what makes our job so rewarding, that you are helping people achieve their needs without you fixating on their price point or anything like that. Yes, some days we see some amazing homes, and others we see some that need a little bit more love. And that is it. And depending on your community, you are used to different price ranges and all of that. Tell me, what's the normal length of an escrow